Здравствуйте, and welcome to the skating lesson. Well, friends, the fallout from Alexandra Trusova leaving Sambo 70 has begun. There have been interviews. The Russian media is all ablaze. There are pro-Eteri outlets. There are anti-Eteri outlets. And it has all begun. Well, shortly after yesterday's video was released, Eteri Tutberidze released a statement herself on Instagram. And I would like to read the beautiful words. Of course you can't get used to your students leaving. While working together, we become a family, overcoming ever-appearing obstacles on the road. Good athletes and specialists will always get offered more beneficial conditions. How one reacts to these offers is an individual decision. But what makes our team stand out is that we raise these athletes and specialists. Of course, we will not be offering more luring conditions, because then trust fades away. While working together, we give them a part of our lives, a part of us. Well, here, Eteri is talking about how student Alexandra Trusova and coach Sergei Rozanov are leaving her school. And it's interesting, obviously, from a fan point of view, it is a bigger deal that Alexandra Trusova is leaving. And that really is kind of, it's like looking at a plant where there is a small sprout above the ground, but the roots are underneath the soil, and really the roots are the coaching staff. And you see, Trusova does do many quad jumps, and many people have told me, I think it is the end of Trusova, the beginning of the end of Trusova. But Trusova has already been going through puberty, and her technique and her consistency have been up and down. But it's interesting because she is certainly a very determined young woman. There are all sorts of articles and theories about why she is leaving. One thing that is interesting from speaking to sources from inside Sambo is that Eteri did not know that Sasha Trusova wanted to leave on her own. She had thought that the turn of events was that Sergei Rozanov wanted to leave first, and then Trusova wanted to leave. But in fact, they were two separate events that were occurring. Interesting is that Eteri did not offer, Rozanov more, money or attention to stay. There is sort of a pecking order within the rink, and it's interesting because everyone believes that just Dudikov, Sergei Dudikov, is the technician. And though he is responsible for much of the jump technician, he cannot work with everyone. And Rozanov has been working with many of the novice, the skaters that you see on Ice Age, as well as the junior skaters before the Junior Grand Prix. So he worked a great deal with Sofia Akatieva, Veronika Zhilina. He worked on the triple axel of Alena Kosternaya and really working alongside Dudikov with that technique. So he does have that knowledge, as well as more of the managerial coaching knowledge of overseeing those groups, the way that Eteri and Daniel Gleichenhaus do with the older skaters. So he has been a big part of that team. His leaving is potentially a bigger deal because who is now going to groom the younger talent? He's also seen as being a better choreographer than Daniel Gleichenhaus. So, I mean, not a difficult thing to be, but it is an interesting turn of events that he is leaving, and it certainly changes things with Plushenko. Plushenko hasn't had a consistent coaching staff, but Plushenko and his wife Yana have been building up the coaching staffs to really oversee that school. So Rozanov being in a prime position and really being the head coach of Trusova and Veronika Zhilina and her sister Alena Zhilina is really going to be a major boost to that camp. They haven't had the biggest athletes yet, but it's also, they get many of the athletes who are broken both physically and mentally after their time in Sambo 70. We had Sotnikova, who was really just there to be in the shows. We also had Sekanovich, who had been to many coaching schools and had never reached success again. They have had Taraganova, so there are all different coaches and situations there, but, we're now going to see, will there be more success from the Ice Angels? Mishin is certainly getting older, and if there is not another really strong coach in Russia, it will be primarily only Sambo 70. So I think it does definitely keep things interesting. Also, Trusova's first coach, Alexander Volkov, is there. He taught her technique before the quad jumps, so I certainly think that would help her consistency and her success in the future. We have seen that Trusova went for triple axels and quad flips. It didn't have the steadiest technique, but her desire was so strong. So I'm not necessarily convinced that Trusova's success was only based on competition with the other girls. There will still be competition at many other competitions. Also, there's a skater from Azerbaijan, Ryabova, who skates there. So there's certainly kind of a herd of skaters who are building in the Ice Angels. There are also a lot of reports that other skaters want out of Sambo 70. I think that Sergei Rozanov was seen as one of the nicer coaches. Both Sergeis are kind of the coaches that are kind of favored by the students. Kosternaya is particularly close with Rozanov, and as well as many of the other younger skaters. Many of the ones that are on Ice Age, Arseny Fedotov and his brother, Usashova and Samsonov, have both been rumored to be moving there, but there has been no confirmation of that. Perhaps there are other athletes who want to move over, but it's not so simple to just switch rinks, especially before you have success. What's amazing is that the head of Sambo 70, Renat Laishev, is now saying that Evgenia Medvedeva was the only skater who left in an appropriate fashion, and she already had titles, so it was fine that she left. But if you recall, it was very not fine when she left. So it's interesting Russian gaslighting yet again about that situation as they retell that narrative. But I do want to read you some quotes from some of the amazing interviews that we are hearing. It's also interesting that Daniil Gleichenhaus and Sergei Rozanov used to be best friends, but certainly Daniil Gleichenhaus has been more elevated within the rink, and he has certainly become one of the toughest coaches in Sambo 70. So that has changed, as well as his relationship with some of the girls. So I will read first Daniil's interview that he gave to fsrussia.ru. And the title of the article is Daniil Gleichenhaus, "We can confirm with the coaching staff that Sasha Trusova is no longer training in our group." The news about skater Alexandra Trusova today was in the focus of media attention. And although at the moment there is no official appeal and statement by the athlete to the Figure Skating Federation regarding the transition, the Federation's press attaché, Olga Yermolina, contacted the trainer and choreographer of the group, Daniil Gleichenhaus, with a request to clarify the situation. Since the news about the transition of Alexandra Trusova was circulated by the media, can you confirm this fact? Daniil: Yes, we can confirm with the coaching staff that Sasha is no longer training in our group. Her parents informed us about this. Each of our trainers talked with the athlete's parents on the phone. Personally, I could not talk with Sasha. She did not answer our phone calls. Just a side note, they also claim that Medvedeva ghosted Eteri as well. So it's just like an interesting thing. Did this happen? Is this exactly how it happened? They do have a recurring narrative here. All right, so the interview continues. What was the reason? The media writes that the coaches of the group did not give the athlete proper attention. Daniil: Of course, this is an absolute farce. It is impossible to make Sasha a unique athlete who was included in the Guinness Book of World Records and is fighting for a leading position without working properly. How can a team not bet on one of its main athletes who performs this season for seniors? The work was huge. Sasha's Instagram on the eve of the World Championships, which did not take place for a well-known reason. Everyone could see on the video that she posted on her Instagram. I shot this video in training. We were going to perform in Canada with 5 quadruples. The season was very difficult. And I want to note that during the growth period, also known as the puberty period, which they love to bring up, we not only kept what we had already learned, but introduced new quadruple jumps along the way, and the program became more and more complicated all the time. Sometimes, not everything worked out in competitions, but the task of our coaching staff was to prepare each athlete for the start as much as possible, so that the skater was at the peak of his form. And then they go on the ice, compete with each other, and the judges evaluate their skating. We worry about everyone. They are all our athletes. And we support everyone as our relatives because we spend more time with them than anyone else in life. Therefore, to say that Sasha did not have enough attention, that is absolutely not so. We spend with the skaters on ice almost all the time and gives ourselves completely to work. How do you comment on the choice of Evgeny Plushenko as a coach? Everyone knows Evgeny Plushenko is a famous athlete who achieved high results. But for now, it's difficult to say something about his coaching career. The athletes whom he raised are not yet. The athletes who switched to him, Sotnikova, Sakhanovich, Tarkanova, none of them showed better results than previous coaches. I perfectly understand that they want to develop. They have a wonderful background, with the help of which for several years they've been trying to call both athletes and coaches. I can't talk about other groups, but we have already encountered this. Both amounts and contacts are known. Apparently, during this period, they found people who wanted to agree to their conditions and change something. This implies to both Sasha, although given her age, everything is decided by her parents, as well as Coach Sergei Rozanov. But he is an adult and makes decisions himself. To say that something did not suit him is ridiculous. This is my friend, whom I myself invited, after asking Eteri Tutberidze to work with us. Prior to this, Sergei was engaged in coaching part-time. And like all the coaches in our group, he grew up, received knowledge, the technique we have in the group. I spoke in detail about our work in an interview after the Junior World Championships, that we have a common technique. And when Sergei came to us, we also introduced it into our system and taught what we ourselves know. Of course, we are disappointed with the transitions, but we will continue to work. We know where we are going. We have a system. We are a family. We move on. Now in the world, the situation is much more serious than our small problems inside figure skating. Therefore, I would like to wish that the coronavirus pandemic will soon come to an end and all people could begin a normal life. It's very interesting. There is a common theme in the words of Eteri Tutberidze and Daniil Gleikenhaus. It is that others may offer you, false promises, BS conditions, maybe more money, more lucrative pampering. But we made you. We do the work. We are the ones. It's very consistent. It is interesting that inside Sambo 70, Eteri has spent more time traveling, more time in the United States, and more time being an overseer, more of an Arena Wiener type figure. And they are not sure when she will return to Russia. She has been in Detroit. But she has spent time away from the rink this year. As I mentioned in the previous video, between the Nationals and the European Championships, Eteri was not there. She also missed Grand Prix events this fall, which is very unusual for her, and it was believed that she had plastic surgery during the Grand Prix. So, priorities shift as success increases. She is not perhaps needed on as much of a day-to-day basis. But who is going to raise kind of the young ones? They will have to find a new coach to do that work. But these things do happen. Not everyone likes to be an underling without proper, monetary rewards, proper credit, and things like that. So, very interesting as this changes. Now, on the other side, Evgeny Plushenko was interviewed about this, and we have always a lot of entertainment by Xenia's words. Now, his wife, who is the mastermind behind all of this, and there are many rumors about her life and her upbringing, very fascinating, as she had him posting flowers that grow best in the shade this morning, and it seemed not coincidental at all. This article was an interview that Plushenko gave to Sport24.ru. Plushenko: I will give up almost all shows and performances. I will work with Trusova 24/7. An interview about the bombshell in the world of figure skating. In the world of figure skating, it has rarely been quiet in recent years. The interest in the sport is so great that any minor news feed immediately brings to be discussed by everyone. Fans are happy to engage in endless disputes. Professionals also do not stand aside leaving comments. But on Wednesday came news that overshadowed everything. Alexandra Trusova, two-time world champion among juniors, bronze medalist of the European Championship, leaves the group of Eteri Tutberidze and goes to the academy of Evgeny Plushenko. Coach Sergei Rozanov and the incredibly talented 11-year-old Veronika Zhilina and her sister Alena Zhilina will follow the same route. Sport 24 contacted Evgeny Plushenko and found out what stage the process of transition to his academy. Alexandra Trusova, who will work with her, and what the specialist is willing to sacrifice to make the Olympic champion out of the athlete. Eugen, whose initiative was the transfer Alexandra Trusova to your team. The initiative of a purely athlete. Nobody drove anyone or lured other trainers in schools. Well, that's hilarious because apparently Jana reached out and offered all of the main students of Sambo 70 the opportunity to train there. All right, he continues. Now, an open window for the transitions of athletes. We are preparing documents for the processing the transition to the Moscow Federation, the Russian Figure Skating Federation, and Sambo 70, where Sasha Trusova was and is currently listed. In general, we are now officially engaged in, as expected, documents. The only thing is that we are signing them, preparing them, and when the quarantine ends, we will file them. He continues. We will also meet with the Federation. We will communicate with Kogan, Gorshkov. I will talk about our future plans and preparations for the season, where we will conduct training. We have already begun to look for choreographers. I do not exclude that there will be a foreigner for both short and free programs. The process is running. We communicate with Sergei Rozanov about the programs. We have already chosen music. I repeat, this choice was made by the athlete herself. Yes, she is 15 years old, but she is already experienced. Trusova has already passed more than one tournament. Not one big tournament. Sasha won serious titles, so she has the right to make a decision if she is uncomfortable training in a group or with a coach. Trusova has the right to choose herself with whom to work and at what conditions. We will work in the same group with Sergei Rozanov. We are ambitious and we set ourselves plans. As for my show, it will be a minimum which will not overlap with the complete competitive activity. That is, the season ends, and I take part in some demonstrations. If there are windows, then I can also decide on my participation, but it will be at a minimum. How long has it been known that Trusova and Rozanov will be with you? Plushenko. Long enough. We did not talk about this, but this is a balanced decision of both Sasha as an athlete and Seryosa as a coach. We didn't decide from the bay. Already quite old people. Sasha will be 16 years old already in June. Of course, everyone will sign it for her parents. But it seems to me that the athlete herself has the right to decide where it is more convenient for her to train. I think the Federation will also support us and give us permission to cooperate with Sasha and Seryosa. You said that Sergei Rozanov will have his own group at your academy. Do you already know who will be included in it? Seryosa Rozanov at my academy will be a full-fledged coach. Nobody will push him into some backwards role. He will go out at competitions. He will lead his group with me. It will be a single team and structure. Those trainers who work with me today will be engaged in their athletes. And Seryosa has his own group and his athletes. What kind? We will tell you later. Basically, he's saying that he will be credited for the work and will be given proper attention, unlike what Eteri did for him. What tasks will you set for Trusova? Plushenko. First of all, I want to say that I have my own academy, which I have been conducting completely for a year and a half. It has more than 120 people. If earlier middle-class athletes came to me, then they came to me exactly at the academy, and not so that I would lead them. To date, I have created my groups, which I lead and do with them every day. 2 trainings on the ice, physical training. I removed most of the demonstrations last year. He's saying that he does not perform in as many shows. Now I am imprisoned for coaching. And as for working with Trusova, we are young and daring. Didn't he just call her old? So we will set the task of becoming the first at the World Championships, the European Championships, and the Olympic Games. It continues. Trusova, the most important challenge in your coaching career, no? Of course, с удовольствием. This athlete is already a worldwide reputation. Yes, she has not yet won the World and European Championships, but she has everything ahead. I hope we will realize her dream. The challenge is very serious. I very carefully approached the issue of her coaching. I will be forced to abandon some of my shows, tours, demonstrations, and I will train Alexandra, work with her, you can say 24/7. Some fans remember your battle on social networks with Tutberidze. Have you let go of that story? Generally, I have let go of the situation. I myself am not the first to attack anyone, only to defend myself. And when I defend myself, I do it very painfully. I immediately told Alexandra and her parents that you need to part with all diplomacy, competently, humanly, call, meet, wish, good luck, thank you for the work done. The work was really gigantic. Transitions happen. Athletes also left me. Yes, they were not the top, but the situation was similar. No one is safe from this. This is a great sport. Athletes have the right to make choices about what suits whom. At one time, Yagurin and Kaluik switched to Tarasheva from Mishin and Kudryatsev, respectively, and there were a lot of such transitions. Trusova understands that more work needs to be done on skating, on components. We also perfectly understood and will do this. Also, side note, Eteri did choreograph Trusova's terrible free skate last season. Just side note, editor's note. Plushenko continues. All forces, in all formats and aspects, will be attracted and involved. I can afford and finance different specialists. I hope that we will also have a federation on our side, which should and must help the athletes who are members of the Russian team and give us hope for first places in all top tournaments. I think we will succeed. Now we are making documents that must be made by law. We must also meet with the president and the CEO of the Figure Skating Federation. After that, the transition will be issued while we are in the process. Now, this is interesting because he's saying that the federation, they need their support. It's interesting because fans and other coaches are all very nervous about this because Plushenko hasn't had success yet. But Russians do tend to fall in line with power, both fans as well. So if they achieve success, people will follow. That's really a human, not just Russians, it's human nature in general. We'll see. If they have success, others will follow. Did Tutberidze's words hurt you? Do not you think that in the near future you will have a confrontation? When I started to do the school, I started from the bottom with the initial training of athletes. I immediately said that if I start to do something, I will always achieve my goal. So it was when I was an athlete. I still have character, willpower, and working capacity. Therefore, we will bring everything to the end and to mind. My school will be top-notch. It's good that there is competition. This is a normal story, and it is necessary to prove not by language, but by their deeds, their athletes and programs, results. I am not tuned to talk. I am tuned to the result. To the words of Tutberidze, I am absolutely equal. Well, the great 3-time Olympic champion and 10-time world champion, Alena Rodnina, was asked about her opinion on this. And about this, she gave the quote, "Schizophrenics have spring exacerbations. Skaters have them too." The legendary Soviet figure skater, 3-time Olympic champion, and 10-time world champion Alena Rodnina shared her opinion of the decision of Alexandra Trusova to transfer from the group of Eteri Tutberidze to the academy of Evgeny Plushenko. When several athletes train in one place at once, whom claim high titles, it is very difficult for them. Any coach wants to arrange a conveyor belt of champions, but any champion is a person. Anyone who wants to become a champion is also a person. Any person requires personal attention. And let's watch today. Sports are professionals. This is not a relationship between a student and a mentor. This is a partnership, if you want, a contract. Lipnitskaya and Medvedeva left Tutberidze. Therefore, this is not the second or third skater, but this is already a conveyor process. Someone comes, someone leaves. What is wrong with the Tutberidze group? I do not fit into such subtleties. Any person who comes to the Tutberidze group understands that he falls into the millstones. Not everyone is ready to withstand this. Plushenko is a famous athlete. What coach? Life has not yet shown us. Let's hope. Probably Plushenko is looking for himself in a new field. We all once finish with sport. And any athlete, when he realizes that he is not the focus of the coach, well, there can be different reasons for this. At one time, when Plushenko was training in the same group with Mishin, Yagurin left. So this is a normal process. no tragedies happen. With any athlete, both the federation and the coach sign such a contract every year. There is a period in any federation for any athlete and coach where you can change the society, you can change the coach. Now is just this period. We have until May 15th, if I'm not mistaken. This transition is just allowed. Therefore, this is a normal spring process. There is autumn, spring excitement, a complication in schizophrenics, in our country too. Well, I will leave you with the tidbit that Rinat Laishev said that not only has Alexandra Trusova changed coaches, she is also expelled from the school of Sambo 70, where she is in 9th grade, and as you know, education is truly the most important priority. Well, friends, there will be more to come with this situation. Eteri Tutberidze is expected to give a full-fledged interview to a reporter who is very sympathetic with her, and we can only wait for the beautiful words of Eteri as she calls from Detroit. And we will be watching and delivering them to you as the situation develops. Have a great day. Bye now.